in IMAX twice. We just finished today watching it for the second time. Let's get into it because this one is I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This one is
It's
it's gonna mess with you. It's what are
it's
they?
a lot.
It's a mind bender. That it's Christopher Nolan, and usually when people say that, they're usually exaggerating or whatever. But this one, we just finished watching it twice, and we were watching YouTube videos on just more about it, researching, trying to understand the movie. And I feel like we have a good foundation, but we're still far from fully understanding the concept. But man, this movie was what a way to get back into a movie theater. Full IMAX.
Yeah, that's why I wanted this one to be my first one, not the New Mutants.
Yeah, not New Mutants. Yeah, because I heard New Mutants is awful.
That's why I didn't want. I wanted my first movie back to the theater was IMAX, Tenet, not New Mutants.
And it felt great, man. It felt great. Let's start with you. Overall, what did you think of Tenet and pros, cons, everything?
No, I love the movie. The movie was. I was like, wow, this is like. I think at least for me, because I'm a big fan of these like spy type movies,
espionage.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those. It's pretty up there for me. I just again ever since Dark Knight Rises, his sound for dialogue sucks.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Like
with the sound mixing.
The sound mixing was like, dude, I like there was times in the first viewing, I couldn't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of like, okay, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Ever since Dark Knight Rises with Bane, he just completely forgot about
sound
audio.
Mixing.
It's like the music and everything is so high that during a middle of a battle, it's like there's important dialogue, and you can't hear anything.
Yeah, lately I didn't feel this. Actually, Dunkirk did have the same problem too.
Dunkirk,
the sound mixing.
It was ever since Dark Knight Rises. That's what started his trend.
The sound mixing in his movies, for some reason, everything is really high in the mix. Like the soundtrack, the sound effects, but the dialogue is like
the bottom of the barrel.
At the bottom of the sound mixing, where you can hear you hear the music, and if they're like on a boat, you hear more of the boat and the ocean and the waves, and their dialogue is like this low, so it's very hard to hear. And that's my main complaint of this movie, because this movie you have to hear what they're talking about.
Because if not, you're not gonna get it.
You have to hear what they're saying, because this concept in this movie is very complex. It's very interesting. It's a lot of fun too. It's a lot of fun to like be lost and figure it out and everything. But I agree with you on that. Like, I love the movie as well. We saw it twice.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Watching it the first time, there was a point in the movie where I was like, "What is going on?" Just because the movie's the movie's moving quick. This is like Christopher Nolan's James Bond.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's like because I agree with what I think Jeremy Jan said it best. Like, the trailer kind of misleads you in the sense of they should have marketed it as a spy movie first, and then keep the inversion stuff, like that sci-fi, I guess, stuff hidden. People would still see it anyway, in the sense of, because it is a lot more spy espionage with the touch of this inversion concept, right? Because before we get into spoilers, I don't want to say too much. But it's crazy. This is like his big, crazy, like Bond espionage movie. John David Washington does great. Robert Pattinson is in this. He's been everywhere lately. He does amazing. My main complaint is that the sound mixing. That's a big complaint critique, I guess, because I the first time I couldn't hear anything. There was a point where they're like sailing on a boat and they're talking through talkies, and it's literally them talking through the walkie-talkie. So it's like, yeah, and it's like waves crashing, and it's like, what did you say? And I couldn't, and this is in the IMAX theater, so we have the best audio, which it was. This movie in IMAX is, if you're gonna watch it, do not watch it anywhere else but in IMAX. Find a way. It's worth it. You know what I mean? And I think before 5 o'clock, you get 30% off.
Yeah.
So you can watch this movie in IMAX for a regular price of admission. Besides that, I love him taking on this espionage James Bond style film. I love the cast.
The action was a lot better in this movie.
His action is great. The concept, just this, the way he shot this movie, the fact that there's things moving backwards while things are moving forwards in the same scene, and this movie is all practical effects. There's literally nothing CG in this movie.
Nope.
In the trailer, when you see that Boeing 757 airplane crashing into a building, that's real. Everything, this movie was shot linear in order, and then it was shot in reverse, because there are sequences in this movie. I mean, and this movie is honestly breathtaking.
No, hello. There's a point that like it's in like in the beginning when he picks up an object inverted.
When it hovers to his hand.
Yeah, it like that's real. Like he's actually picking it up.
Yeah.
Like honestly, it's like a magnet or something. Who knows? But just the fact that he's actually like in like he's actually doing that for real.
Yeah. Nothing is, and you can tell.
But this
car
movie,
chase sequences.
This movie shows you that movie magic is real. That like if you wanted to, you can do it practical.
If you're not lazy and you actually care,
Yeah.
you can do everything practical.
Because this movie, this is not like a few little. No, this is like
the car chase
full-on
sequences,
practical
all the
scenes.
action scenes.
Everything, the fighting.
Yeah.
They had to learn how to fight backwards.
John David Washington, there's some behind the scenes of him practicing like a fight sequence, but he's like moving in reverse. It's honestly so crazy.
Yeah, like he had to learn how to fight backwards, and I was like, dude, what?
That's insane. And the car chase sequences that.
And you kind of notice it in the movie when they're fighting. I was like, wait, like at first you think it looks weird.
Yeah.
But then it makes sense. I was like, oh, that's why.
It's amazing.
Like
nothing is CG.
Nothing.
In the trailer, that car chase sequence in the highway, you could just tell when it's real. And there's no CG in this movie, and it makes it so much better. Shot in IMAX. That's how movies should be made. And I gotta say, because I know the complaint is like, oh, this movie's it's very convoluted. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's hard to understand. I understand that, because the first time I was like, what is going on?
Because this is a movie, not a one-time viewing. This is a movie you have to watch it multiple times, and you have to just really dive deep into it.
Watching it the second time, I love it. It's yes, I can see why maybe in the first act or so it's hard for some people. Maybe it's a little slow for you or something before like the heist stuff and all that. Maybe it's slow for you. I enjoy it, but I can understand that. Fine, but you know what, man? But this movie is so original. It's so unique. It's so unique. It's original, and especially in this day and age of everything is a remake or a sequel, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that Christopher Nolan cares so much about giving us a good movie theater experience with an original concept, a new idea. It's so refreshing, and he really cares about that cinematic experience. You know, he shot this 80% of this movie's in IMAX. So 80% is like almost the whole movie's in IMAX, honestly. It's an amazing idea, concept. It's original. It's a fun action thriller, espionage. Like, it's just everything you want in a movie. It's not a remake. It's not a sequel. And that's so refreshing, man, because everything is now either a superhero movie or a reboot. You know what I mean? And it's awesome to have people like Christopher Nolan that want to, like, push the boundaries every movie he makes, you know?
Yeah.
Because with this, what we see visually in this movie, between the action scenes, the visuals, the set pieces, it's honestly, I remember the first time we saw it, I had a mask on, but my mouth was just open. I was like, what is going on? And in the best way possible. It's amazing. What you see and the fact that it's all practical. If you haven't seen the movie yet, you're probably not going to get it until you watch it. And I understand what John David Washington says, that what you see here, we've never seen this before. And the fact that Christopher Nolan made it in IMAX and wanted us to see it in theaters, I completely understand now, you know?
Yeah.
Amazing soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Ludwig Göransson, if I said his name correctly, he did Black Panther, the Mandalorian series, Creed 1 and 2, Fruitvale Station, which is another good one. Amazing soundtrack. Amazing. And we'll get into spoilers now, but I guess let's finish just general thoughts, because this movie is going to confuse the shit out of you, for sure. You know? We've seen it twice. We just finished watching YouTube videos. the first time I saw it, I couldn't even explain the movie. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't. That's why we wanted to watch it twice, do research on it, follow up on it, and then talk with you guys about it, because we didn't want to just come in here fresh off the first viewing, not knowing anything. Because I know a lot of people do that. They'll just watch it once, come and review it, and then like not know what we're talking about or being lost, you know. So we definitely wanted to do that, because this is a movie that watch it twice at least before you even like give a full opinion, you know.
Yeah.
And you will appreciate it a lot more, you know. It's a movie that requires a lot of viewings, and it's bold, it's new, it's unique. This is the movie that people should be giving credit for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people kind of underestimate, because people give credit to like Rian Johnson with what he did at Last Jedi or something, where, oh, he's so bold, he's so innovative. This is innovative. This is so new. This is pushing the bar for movies. You know what I mean? And John David Washington is great in this.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like his own James Bond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's great. And again, Christopher Nolan, like, nobody gives him credit. Like, nobody. This is a movie that deserves all the credit in the world. You know what I mean? And it'll never like get it. This movie's making money. People are gonna love it, but it'll never get that credit. Like if other movies do, like Last Jedi or something, that everybody's like, oh my god, it's so important for. These are movies that are important for, just movie making.
Just look at the movie
as we go forward. You know. Did you have any other thoughts or like criticisms of the movie besides the sound mixing, which we both agree is very important, because you will get confused in this movie, but then also it's hard to hear it, like hear the dialogue, so it's like, oh my god, like now you just have no idea what's going on, you know, for the first time. The second time I understood more because I was so zoned in. But anything else that you thought in the movie?
Not really. It was just the sound. Like everything else I liked. I didn't think it was slow in the beginning. I think it's slow for some people because everyone is just so used to superhero films.
Yeah.
Where everything is just like thrown at you in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, this movie does pick it up. It builds up a lot.
I mean, well, the intro was like an action sequence, but.
Yeah, no, yeah, I guess I mean like the first act in general.
But it
builds up.
It's building up everything though.
When it builds everything up, and then when you see what it builds up, you're just like, you're just like, oh my god, like you just, you know, I didn't expect this. This is Christopher Nolan's, like, it's his boldest, most ambitious, and like biggest movie. This is his most expensive movie.
This movie where like everything is practical, so I like which I like. I'm not a big fan of CG. Like when movies rely so much on CG, it's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like, I don't, like, compared to Spider-Man, is not fair, but, like, with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, I liked more because it was all practical, like, the fight scenes. Because I was rewatching, like, the first one.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And it was, like the fight, I was like, man, like you can tell what's real and what's not. And
you just see it on screen, you feel it. It just feels better. It feels real.
But, like, with the Tom Holland, don't get me right, like, Tom Holland Spider-Man is great.
Yeah.
But it's too heavy on the CG to where it's like, damn, dude. It's just, it kind of takes me away from it a little bit. Which I get, it's Spider-Man, he does a lot of crazy moves.
Yeah.
But I do like to see some practical.
Yeah.
Like, at least in the fight scenes. Which I like. I like seeing practical. And that's what, in this movie.
Oh my god.
This movie's literally all practical. Like, there's nothing CG. You know what it's like? Even the fact that when he's picking up the object inverted, it's still like, he's actually doing it.
Buildings that collapse. Then build back up and blow up. It's just like, and it's all real. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. And you know, it's so nice to see, because now
and
this
the
day
fact
and age,
that they have to film it backwards. Like they had to film it backwards. The fight scenes.
This is his most expensive movie, and even then, I think it cost what, $250 million. So all practical, you know. This is his biggest movie. And, man, it's so refreshing to see, because this day and age, with everything that's just CG, they could have... But there's something about seeing it happening. It's just authentic, and it's real.
Because the whole point of movies is to see the movie magic. How do they make this possible?
Yeah.
How do they do this? How do they... And when you see Tenet, that's movie magic.
And you believe what you see, you know?
Like,
when you see CG...
Because we watch the Corridor Crew. You know how they do, like, the stuntmen react? and they were talking about how Indiana Jones, it was one of the stunts.
Yeah.
And and it was like behind the scenes, and you see him actually doing the stunt, like jumping onto the tank.
Yeah, you believe it.
And they're throwing dirt on him, and it's like this whole thing. It's real. Or if you watch like one of the like Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah, all those stunt works.
Dude, you're seeing that guy throw his body around.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So you believe it, like when you see action scenes actually being done like real.
Yeah, you believe
CG,
what you see.
It's just
you don't have to like kind of be like, oh, that's BS, like with these Fast and the Furious movies or something where like you don't believe what you're seeing. In this movie, and I we'll talk about it in spoilers, but this is his biggest movie. I mean, the third act where this movie goes, and it is his most confusing. It's his most complex. I'll say that because it's not that it doesn't make sense. There's just a lot to take in.
But there's a lot of things where you question. It's like, well,
but you could find out. It's just so complex. It's hard to like.
And the
take
dialogue,
in.
You can't hear the dialogue.
Yeah, the sound mixing for me is such a big problem. It's one problem, but it's a huge problem.
But he's been having that for the last couple movies.
Yeah, Dunkirk had that too.
Ever since Dark Knight Rises, he went down that path.
Yeah. Because
Dark Knight, it was fine. Before, like, Dark Knight Rises, everything was fine. But after Rise with the whole Bane thing, where he had to go back and re-edit the film, his sound, like, mixing has been pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know
Because Dunkirk, I was like, what did he say?
Yeah.
I was like, I can't hear anything.
The thing with Dunkirk is that there wasn't a lot of dialogue anyway.
It's more visual than...
So, that's like my one big... It's one problem, but it's a big problem.
And I think now it kind of like caught up to him a little bit because this movie you need to listen.
Yeah.
You need to listen.
Because Inception didn't have that problem. Inception.
But was that before or after?
Yeah, no, it was before Rises.
Yeah. But so see, but like again, before Rises, Eagle's fine.
Yeah.
But ever since Dark Knight Rises, he kind of like his sound mixing went weird.
Yeah.
Because again, with the whole Bane, because like Bane, you couldn't hear him at first. It was all static.
And this movie kind of has that problem. There's parts where they're wearing masks or something. And you're just like, I can't hear, and this is so important. They're talking about main plot points, and you're just like, I cannot understand what you're saying. But besides that, I mean, that's such a big problem, though.
Because you need to understand the movie.
That's such a big problem because I want to be able to hear it. And watching it the second time, I was able to hear it a little bit more.
This is what you need like subtitles.
Yeah, like I was able to hear it a little bit more the second time, but even at the end, I was like, what? Oh, no, this is important, That's the one thing. But besides that, I mean, I loved it. I gotta say, watching it the second time, I enjoyed it more in the sense of, expectations are out the window, the excitement, Because when you have expectations of something, this happened to me with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something. Like when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I actually loved it a lot more the second time. This movie, I appreciated and liked it a lot more the second time. Because the first time going into it, I wasn't expecting a genuine like spy movie because we've never seen that from Christopher Nolan.
And also, we didn't watch any of the trailers.
Yeah, we saw like one trailer.
And that was like one in theater.
And all you like saw was about the inversion stuff and all that. So you were expecting kind of like a Inception type of movie, and this is not like Inception in the sense of like this is like his James Bond movie. So I wasn't expecting that, But watching it the second time, I was able to see that more. I was like, oh, like this is literally like his own little like James Bond movie, just like times 10 because what he does with it. But yeah, I mean, this movie for me, the visuals are amazing. Soundtrack is amazing. Great acting. I think Robert Pattinson is doing great right now. It's shot really well. Good action. Visually, what we see in this, it's gonna blow your mind. It's jaw dropping. You know what I mean? And my one criticism is the dialogue, the sound mixing of the dialogue. I couldn't hear anything. And is there anything else that we would? I don't want to say I wish he explained more, because I'm not going to say that's a problem with it. I'm fine with how the movie is. Maybe the pacing at first is pretty quick, but I understand why, because he is trying to like build it up quick so we can get to the good stuff,
Yeah.
If there was like a 3-hour cut of this movie, I would believe it, or a 3.5-hour cut, where
I doubt it.
It's like the pace, maybe it's a more fleshed out pace or something. but obviously that's not gonna come out or anything. But the movie worked well for me. It's his boldest. I gotta give him that. Like, it's his biggest one.
Yeah.
You know, if I had to rate it, I think for me I think it's an 8 for me. I'm at an 8. Cause the sound mixing for me was such a big problem. And because it's hard to hear, and so the dialogue is the most important thing too.
Yeah.
It's an 8 for me. I'm gonna give it an 8. What about you?
I'll give it a 9.
You're at a 9.
Yeah.
So 8 and 9.
Because I like that style. So.
Yeah, no, he did great, man,
and I really like the action. The action is cool.
I just want to see how he's gonna
even
top this.
like the outfits are cool.
Yeah.
Like
the style, the whole style. Also one minor like criticism that we talked about earlier was I've noticed with the certain action or like extras in his movies, there's certain times that I just don't believe certain sequences. Like in this movie, for example, it's like when they're like on a mission or something and they're like choking out a guy, or they're like putting him to sleep with the alcohol, whatever it is that they knock him out. There's one thing that like with his like background extras or whatever it is, like it's never like believable. The only other example I can say this for, Dunkirk did not have this at all. Maybe I'm sure there is if you look it up. I'm sure there's like little extra mistakes or something. Because again, another reason why to admire the guy, he no CG. For the most part, it's like he'll have freaking 200 extras on set. Like Dunkirk, he'll have hundreds of people on set for Dunkirk, real soldiers, real. Here he had a whole opera house filled with people. But here there was, and Dark Knight Rises was an example of like extras.
Rises was like the worst.
Yeah. That was the worst.
It's like one of the worst extras I've ever seen.
Yeah, and here it's just like I wish there was a little bit more struggle when they were choking someone out, and I don't know if that's something that he notices or not. Where for me when I watch it, it's just I don't believe it. Like when they were choking someone out, it looks too easy. It's just like instant choke, instead of like realistically, if you're choking someone out, there's some struggle there. So that's just a minor thing that I'm just like, I wish this was a little bit more believable,
But I guess in the defense of it is like it's that classic spy, because James Bond movies kind of do that. Like he just chokes the guy out quick.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It takes away the.
It was only like 2 scenes, so
yeah,
like, okay, I'm not gonna.
No, it's minor, but it's something that was it takes away from me a little bit. But everything else, like the action stuff, like the rest of his action was great. Let's get into spoilers. We're gonna get into spoilers right now, guys. So stick around, and here we go.